Welcome back to ECOP Conversations. Today we are very glad to be joined by Afiq Durrani, who is in Malaysia. And I think I'm going to hand it over to you, Afiq. Can you let us know whereabouts you are and what you're working in or on currently at the moment in respect to ocean sustainability or the UN Ocean Decade?
Hello, my name is Afiq Durrani bin Mohd Fahmi, but it's easier to just go by Afiq Durrani. I'm a marine biologist. I'm based in Malaysia. I mainly work with ocean acidification on sea urchins, but mostly I'm looking at the microbial communities. So I work with sea urchins, I work with foraminifera, but recently we've been offered a spot on Ocean X, a super cool vessel, research vessel that tours globally. And when they came to Malaysia, I was part of the team that led some parts of the marine science in exploring Malaysian waters. So we have done a few things before and on concurrently, but with Ocean X, it expanded because of the different tools they've got on board, like super cool ROVs. We've got to use like a proper CTD with a Niskin rosette sampler, and normally we would just do like by hand. So it was really, really fun. Like we got to play with like a lot of cool toys, and that meant we got to shape like future research here in Malaysia. So in terms of the UN Ocean Decade, I'm also part of the IOC group of expert on ocean literacy. So I work with ECOPs too, ECOPs Asia especially, and I work mainly in developing a talent pool because I'm also a lecturer in Universiti Malaysia Terengganu. So whenever I do research, I will always have students with me. And whenever we do community projects, I always make sure the youth are leading it. And the training I provide is for them to be able to create a project, fund it, help them find funding for it, and then report it and make it as relevant and as diverse as we can in terms of outputs. So yeah, my role is with IOC, with ECOPs, and also with the youth. I am the director of the Sustainable Ocean Alliance Malaysia. So that's where I develop the young talent and the new Malaysians up and coming in charge of creating the ocean we want using the science we need.
Afiq, I was wondering if
Mm.
you could tell us about how you came to love the ocean, how you got involved with ocean science, what was your journey to become a lecturer at university and be working for IOC?
So funny enough, I was always scared of the ocean up to, so my degree was in biotechnology. So up till then, up to my second year of degree, I was always a bit fearful of the ocean because I think I had like, when I was a kid, there was always like people would scare me from like going into the sea because the waves were strong here, and especially during monsoon season. I always had a fear of the sea, but in my second year, I did like an internship in Greece, and it's a marine conservation and as well as a terrestrial project. I was there for the seed bank project, but I was around a lot of marine biologists that was like on the same wavelength as I was. So they would invite me with them to go out sampling, and I would be like shore support. And then at some point, I went in, and then it was like, I think this is the job for me. Like I want my office to be on the beach. I want my office to be underwater. After swimming in the Aegean Sea, it wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be. So it was a good start. And then from there, so I was going to graduate with, I mean, I did graduate with a biotechnology degree, but then I wanted it to relate more to the marine environment, and I wanted to do something with marine biotech, considering not much is done. So I did a master's in marine biodiversity and biotechnology. And then from then onwards, I found a really cool project with some super cool supervisors, and then did my PhD in ocean acidification and future oil spill conditions, essentially. Like, what would it look like in the future if an oil spill was to happen? So, who are the main bacteria that's still there and that's not going to be there in future oceans? So that led me completely down the road to marine biology with biotech as my core foundation. And that internship was the thing that changed my life. It was in Archipelagos, Institute of, I can't remember the full name, but it's Archipelagos, where I met super cool people that I'm still close to today. So that led me to marine biology. And then after that, I went back home. I studied in the UK, in Edinburgh, in Heriot-Watt University in Edinburgh for my master's and my PhD. And then I came back because my PhD was a scholarship from the university here in Malaysia, which meant I'm bonded with them for a couple of years. So I came back to start working. And then, yeah, once I came back, I figured there was so much I could do back at home. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff happening, but also the youth involvement wasn't as much. So when I was in the UK, I was like trusted to lead projects. But when I was in Malaysia, I saw that students were shy to start their own projects. So I wanted to give them that push, and I wanted to really activate and mobilize them and make them go for what they want. And for me, it's such a cool and creative experience because with them they thought of differently, or they thought of things differently, and this generation is crazy creative. I'm learning more from them too on how to approach things, how to approach the human side of things, and they're learning from me on how to approach the environment side of things.
This is amazing that you've gone through this whole journey and this is
Yeah.
where it's now. So there's a loads for you to do after this point, so many different ways you can turn. So, but it seems that you're managing to really be this multidisciplinary in this emerging area, especially in Malaysia. So this is so cool to see.
I think
Oh,
the different skill set is like super important, like to just pick up and adapt. Like you can't just be one type of researcher nowadays. Like you have to tap a bit into physics, a bit onto chemistry.
and so how does Ocean X fit into this? How did you get the opportunity to join this incredible vessel?
So I think Ocean X was in one of the COP meetings, and they met with a few people in Malaysia. And then they invited Ocean X over to a state in Malaysia, which is called Pahang. And they were looking for a group of scientists. So we got roped in, and then we did a proposal on based on what was available on the boat, and then we got that spot. So our team was in charge of the 2 week maiden voyage of Ocean X in Malaysia. And it was so fun because I think we were overly preparing it, like thinking like, oh, okay, we need to do this. We have like such a short amount of time to execute like a few different objectives. I think we had like 8 different objectives in total between like 20 different scientists. And I knew for my part, when we were proposing it, I wanted to make sure we had ECOPs on board, because this is great training ground. And I remember like for me, going on a research vessel was where like I truly felt like all my skills were being called out and put to use. And like I had to like create things out of nothing. And that was why I was like, okay, we need to call in ECOPs. At least each leading PI would have one or two of their masters or PhD students on board, so that we could train as well as get that experience. So when Ocean X finally came, it was so much better than what we expected. The team was so welcoming, and they were problem solvers essentially. There wasn't any problem that they couldn't solve, and they had these advanced equipment, but also on top of having like 3D printers on board, on top of having like ROVs, on top of having this crazy tech, they were problem solvers. So when we were out in sea, within the first 4 or 5 days, we already encountered problem with our nets, and we were just brainstorming it together. And in the end, they found a solution right the next day. We also had a sequencer on board, which was my favorite thing, and that's where I really wanted to like put in my research there. And then we had a problem where I had to troubleshoot some PCRs, and we couldn't find a UV light for the gel, but they had a small kit thing that they lost the plug point, and the engineers were like, it's fine, we'll try to sort it out by tomorrow. And they actually like cut through the wires and plug it through a different thing and like Frankenstein the machine. And they were like, see, it's fine now, it's working. The amount of support like they would do, that team would just do to help the scientists. And of course, the rest of the team, the morale was great. Even the kitchen team was super cool. We hung out with essentially everyone, and everyone was excited about the research, and we were excited about the boat. So it was just like this one huge collaboration. And then also the best part of it all was they had a media team on board, and the media team were equally as excited because I think they saw that we were game for anything. If they threw one idea in, when we would like make it to 3 or 4 different things. So we really vibed a lot, and like we really tried so many things in terms of media too, like tried new concepts. We did live streams where they didn't do it before. We did science camps. So like I think Mario was inspired by Avatar, where they had the scientists vlog it a bit and then they would chop it up and make it into something cool. We were like, sure, whatever you guys want, we'll just do it. And it's like real time too, because we were actually stressed out with our research because sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't work. And we had only 2 weeks to make it work. So everything was documented so like well. I've never had that experience before where by the first week we saw like highlight reels of ourselves while we were having dinner. We were just like, oh wow. And then because everyone is doing their own science, we sometimes don't get to talk to everyone, but then we saw it in the videos and we were like, oh, you're doing this and that, like I could help you with this and you could do this and that. It was really helpful to just have a different perspective of what's going on with everyone on board. I thought the 2 weeks went by super quick. And by the end of it, we were super sad to just go. And even like the crew was, oh, we need to do something again. We need to do something soon. But I was so grateful. The whole Malaysia mission went super well. We achieved all the objectives we wanted and more. We added on things on board and we were like, let's just do this and that. And it was an amazing time with amazing crew and amazing high-tech, state-of-the-art equipment. We've never gotten to dive for like hours long using the ROV. Normally we would just scuba dive, and diving with the ROV is we get to explore so much more and discovered mesophotic reefs that we haven't discovered before, new sites. It just opens up, and we established 16 new stations for ocean acidification. So we don't have a baseline yet in Malaysia, but now we do. It's super exciting for future research and to have ECOPs on board, the future scientists. It's such a satisfying expedition, I would say.
That's so cool. So I wanted to ask, whereabouts were you in Malaysia? And also,
Mhm.
what happens to Ocean X now? Will they, it sounds like they're quite keen to support you guys and spend more time with you. Will there be a chance of working together again in the future? What might that look like?
So where we were was in Pahang, which is one of the states in Malaysia. It's it's on the east coast of Malaysia, of Peninsular Malaysia. The deepest side we could go was around 60 meters. So it's like not so deep in that area, but it's totally research is not so active there. And there's a few cool research groups that are working there, but like energy or the diversity of the science isn't as much up to now. So OceanX really made the local researchers collaborate with us. Essentially, we are from Terengganu, which is further up north. So now we have like a bigger picture of what's going on that side. So Ocean X is going back to Singapore, or is already in Singapore now, and they are doing some repair works and all maintenance until the new year. And I'm not sure. I think they were saying they're going to Africa for a bit, and then they're coming back to Asia. We have whispered some future stuff that we could work on, and especially on the west of Malaysia. We've got deeper locations there. We've got deeper seas there, and it's closer to the Coral Triangle. So it's going to be even crazier if we could have all those equipment over there. So all that is currently being pushed for, and we are proposing stuff. But in the near future, we are also proposing for an ocean literacy package. So whatever we've done with Mission Malaysia and the media we've collected, we want to expand it some more. We want it to be more interactive and immersive. And again, with the media team on board, they're super talented. They were making photogrammetries of coral reefs. So we want that to be used as a teaching tool, as an outreach tool, maybe using Apple Vision and all that. So they've been experimenting with a lot of things on board, and we've got so much we could do. So we are trying to look for more funders to potentially fund the ocean literacy package from Mission Malaysia. It's especially important here because interest in STEM education is not as high as before. It's actually starting to drop a bit, and people are not as like, excited about science, about research. So we want to showcase that science is cool, what we can do in our local waters, and people don't know what's out right here at our beach. So that's important, I think, to really maximize the impact from Mission Malaysia, and hopefully have a part two, which will be in like, deeper waters, different areas. Pahang is known for their turbid reefs. So the water is really turbid. So people thought there wasn't anything down there. And now we've proven that not the most touristic side of Malaysia, is not the most dived site in Malaysia, but once we went deep enough in the mesophotic reefs, it's like, oh, we did not expect there to be still so much life, so many new discoveries that we found, but we'll slowly release those research outputs, and we will definitely release the media at some point too, so that we get more people interested and involved. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, we look forward to sharing that. So we're just going to wrap up now. Thank you so much for sharing about that. I am going to share the OceanX website with everyone. They do have openings. So
Yes.
if people are really excited, then they can check that out. So you're working in university, you're working with IOC, with SOA, with ECOPs,
Yeah.
and you're also doing your own research. So how can people support you? How can they get involved in your work? Is there something
Mhm.
happening for ECOPs in Malaysia?
So for now, most of the work by the ECOPS is done with SOA. I would say, like, at least that's within my control and within my observation and like yeah. So like, if you guys are not a marine scientist but you are interested in the marine environment, you can join us with SOA Malaysia. Our Instagram is My Ocean Hope. You could have a look at what's going on. We have cool activities every now and then. We've got even crochet, we've got upcycling plastic, we've got a sea urchin like taste tests. Sometimes we call in for research, and like, we want participants involved. That is where the entry for non-scientists would be. And then if you are an aspiring researcher, come join our research team. I'm based in Universiti Malaysia Terengganu. If I do have a call out for a master's or a PhD project, I would probably do it on my social media too, which is on my Instagram account or my LinkedIn account. If you are interested in looking at how future ocean will affect microbiota of animals like sea urchins or microbes like forams. So that's what I do, and that's why you can do too if you join my team. And with UNESCO, there's a lot happening, but yeah. So especially we work with ECOPs too, and uh, yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, so there's a few things happening. So most of the time, I'm gonna announce it on my socials if it's an opening that you could be part of. I just come join on My Ocean Hope or my Instagram.
Perfect. And we'll share the link for everyone. Thanks so much for meeting with us today, Afiq, and for telling us
Yeah.
everything that's going on. I'm so excited to hear about Ocean X and to have actually met someone that's been on board. This is very
Yeah.
exciting. So,
It's so crazy to be on board that ship.
is it like going to the future?
It is. It's like going on a movie set, but also like on a space vessel. The lighting is next level. Like, there's work lighting, there's recording lighting. It's a whole different experience, I would say. But such a cool experience.
And so to finish off, then in terms of the UN Ocean Decade and collaborating together to achieve
Mm.
the science we need for the ocean we want, do you think this is really key then, this idea of making technology accessible and working in a local way to provide access to these tools and this innovative technology for local researchers?
It's important to have people from with different skill sets involved in the same mission. We would never think a mathematician or a computer scientist like are such like key people to help us solve the issues we have with the ocean, to help us get the ocean that we want. Working with people who are not just marine biologists or marine scientists or oceanographers, that is key. We need to work with media. We need to work with fields that we haven't worked with. So everyone should be as involved with the ocean, no matter what your background is, because there will always be that intersection. Once we figure that out, it's so beautiful to have, and it's such a cool experience to be working with people who know what needs to be done and from different perspectives. So that to me is the key takeaway from not just OceanX, but also working with SOA and the youth. Everyone's perspectives is valuable in terms of getting the ocean that we want.
Thank you so much.